Here's the second part of this video series on cutting down the 68 C10 frame and installing these hoops. Big old hoops.
I got my big hoops on.
Okay. Okay, that's that side. Other side. Yeah. So these came pre-assembled, just tacked together. I'm going to cut the tacks off so that I can fit it. There we go. Here she comes out of the box. These are just generic internet flavor specials. These are just generic internet available ones. So what we have is it's steps to follow. So see how these are sitting up here? That's the center. So we want to line these up correctly here so we've got, travel for the rear end. And then what my plan is, I'm going to take out these inner pieces. See, they're just tack welded in. Take these two inner pieces out and then I can slide it down. I'm going to put this, overlap it onto the outside of this frame. And without this piece, I can get it down as low as I want. I can cut this one back because this is going to sit on top of here. So I want to get it as low as possible. And then I can, cut off the excess because I think I only want to have about 6 inches of travel in here. And this thing's probably set up for, and I'm including that in this frame, so probably only going to come up to about here. So probably half of this. I don't plan to do any more modifications to the front, so I don't need the rear end to be a lot lower than the front. So then I can build a little bit deeper of a bed floor. So I'm going to mark this up and then start separating these pieces.
I like it a lot.
See that? Sits down on there pretty good. Now on the inside, it's gonna be hitting that cross member. I can just modify the side of that so it can sit down in there. All right, let's start playing around. See what we can do. That guy is cut down, so this should slide down. Okay, so we need to trace it out, figure out our angles, and then we've got to slightly notch a little bit at the top of the frame. It's a little bit thicker. So let me get a pencil and we'll start marking. Okay, I just put the square up to the side here, and then just this is my line. So then I trace that down on the outside and on the inside, just so I have alignment of where, see this? This is where I'm gonna cut. Got this one marked off straight. So that's what I'm gonna cut, because when this goes down, this part will slide down on here. It'll eventually be touching down here, but I'm gonna have to cut that as well. But we'll start with just, we just need to thin out maybe 1/8 of an inch in here. I want to leave as much of the frame as possible. I'm actually going to weld this outside piece in before we, hack it all out, just to keep it exactly where we need it. Let me get some supports, some other stands somewhere back here. Just a good idea. Let's see if we got a mark across. Here we go. Okay, there's our slot for this girl to slide right into. See? See how that fits now? Okay. Let's see. Okay, we need to cut just a hair more. Okay, I need new batteries.
When you've got the taste of nuts and honey all wrapped up in a hearty crunch, what more can you say?
Hey, Cookie, what's for breakfast?
Nothing, honey.
We're back. Okay. Now we're going to slide it back on. See what it does. See what it does. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we can actually leave this brace in place. We just got to take that one out. There was a support for the spare. And we're probably going to end up having to put a new track bar mount in there somewhere. So I might just end up cutting that old one off. So, but I like having a little extra support in here. Doesn't hurt anything. But we can cut it off after. No biggie. So figuring out here that we need about 9 inches max. And right now the way this is sitting, it's up at about 11. So $11 3/4 over here. Yeah. It's about the same, 11 3/4. So gonna take off 2 3/4 off the front of this thing so it sits down in there. Same thing in the back. Let's see. Okay. So that's 7, so right in there. There she is. Okay. 2 3/4. Okay. Do it on the back here. Two 3/4. Okay. Let's cut it. Okay. What do we think? I like it. I think that's gonna do it. So we'll clamp that together, prep it real good. Okay. That with, if I don't cut it first. Okay. What I'm going to do now that I've got this mocked up is just start prepping the edges around this notch and weld that side, weld the front part of this notch, and then I need to bring this back part up about 1/8 of an inch because it's lower over there. Probably just from years of overloading this thing. It got the bed got a little bit twisted. So once that's welded in around the outside, then we can actually cut out the inside, and that's the part that I'm really looking forward to doing. But I've only got a couple hours until it's supposedly gonna rain. And we got a light bit of rain already, and I could see a little bit of rust forming on these things. So I'd like to get that welded in and then cover this thing up real good so I don't have a ton more prep work to do and surface rust on all these parts. So let me get my welder set up and we'll start going to town.
Making my way downtown.
So I'm gonna just clean up the edges here and get some bare metal. Yeah.
Here's the thing standing out. It's odd, strange, unique, particular. How do we know what we mean by that, except against the background of something even, that is not differentiated, like space? And so you get this philosophical itch. You begin to scratch your head and think about, why is that so?
Okay, cutoff wheel. Would have been done about 10 minutes ago. We'll just cut right along in there. Get it nice and tight against this, and then we can put that boxing plate in. Okay, cleanup time. Happy birthday to you. Day 2 on the notch. I made a rough cut yesterday, getting ready to cut this little bit of metal left so that I can burn in the plates on the inside. I've got these plates that we took out to put back in there, so that caps that off. All right, let's do some cutting. Let me tell you, you just gotta trust weed. Okay, let's see what happens. That's that one. Let's cut off this guy here. All right, day 3 on the notch. Pretty much done at this point. I just want to flip the frame over and weld underneath here and just get any areas that I missed. And today, after I do that, I'm going to start prepping the whole frame with that contour machine that has basically a big wheel on the front, and you just run it along the frame and it just takes off whatever coating or paint or anything on there. So pretty much just need to clean off all my tools off of here and flip the frame over, and then set up the welder again, start welding on it for maybe an hour or so, and then buzz off the frame. So I'm hoping to be done here today with the frame prep.
Not gonna do it.
And then be ready for paint tomorrow. Maybe we'll just roll it. Just roll it over on the ground. I don't see any reason not to. Then it could still be on the blocks. Let's see if I can do it. Okay. There bees the frame. It's nice to be able to just roll it around, you know, literally. But, you know, I don't have to fight trying to weld upside down. Yeah. Coming down. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now we got underneath. Doing it well.
Doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it.
You know, at the gym where people are flipping tires and stuff, I always say, come on over here, I'll give you something to lift and flip around and work on. Okay, so see here, we need to get all in there. See, we got spots that need some attention, and I think we just need to cut that track bar bracket. We'll just cut him off around there, and we'll leave the beef of that.
Where's the beef?
Burner's on, time to cook. What do we think? Let's have a closer looky. Okay, that's the underside of the frame. Got to those sections. And then down on the bottom of the notch. Or as I like to call them, hoops.
You never heard something like that, like that, like that, like that.
So you can take this flap disc and take off all this slag, these little bumps. Okay, here she is, about to cover everything up. It's all together. We're gonna prep this frame tomorrow, and if we're lucky, we'll get it done and have it painted. So a fair amount of grease up front, but not a ton. Just got to get it all scraped out. Oh, and we got to cut the back end of this thing off. Got to cut those 8 inches off, and this cross member. So there's a few things to do. This one needs to come off, a little bracket. That bracket over there. I'm gonna strip her down naked. Yeah, so I think it's day 4. Not sure. This is gonna be a short one. What I'm gonna do is cut off the back of this frame. We got it marked out. I need to cut 8 inches off. What I'd like to do today is cut off the end of the frame and then buzz this thing down with a contour tool and just get whatever's easy to access. Pretty much getting there. Sometimes I estimate this is a day, but really I might only have an hour to work on it, so it's hard to count that as a whole day. Let's get started. Let's cut. This is to finish the process of making a short bed. So technically, it's not a short bed yet because I still have the back end of this frame on here. And since you cut 12 off the front and you cut 8 off the back, that's how you get that total 20-inch difference between a short and a long bed. If you're not hauling a ton of stuff, which who is in an air ride classic Chevy? Now, it's still bigger than most modern trucks now. At a short bed size, it's still bigger than a lot of these beds that are only 60 something inches. Yoo-hoo! Looky there. I mean, that's brilliant. Just cut right off. Okay, I like it.
I like it a lot.
Okay, doing the edges. I don't know if I'm going to use the same bumper. The old school farm truck step bumper. Might. Spark dragger. We're going to get that contour tool out. Let's have a look at what it does. I got this specifically for this job. Let's get a mask. You don't need to breathe that. Start buzzing this frame. I think you're going to want to see You're gonna want to see this up close. It's pretty interesting how it takes this off real fast. Done. It's down to the nub. I'm gonna get another one and then do a little bit more. This is an aftermarket Wheelie McBird. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, see if we can get in there. Well, this is a little more work than a guy would think, but let's have a look at what's left. So we got to get around those mounts inside the frame. Some, you know, little areas. We'll just wire wheel all that. But she's pretty much down to bare metal in most areas. Inside the frame will have to be wire wheeled as well, because I just can't, the tool just can't get in that far in there. Couple more hours, I think I can knock this frame out. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for coming and checking out the project. That's gonna be a 68 C10 truck on air ride. Got that big old notch on there in the back. It's a short bed from a long bed. That's pretty nifty. Getting a lot of work done. You know, consistency is important, and sometimes when I've got my tools out, I really want to push through, because in my case, I'm not in a workshop, I'm just out here in the field, really. And I guess I could be somewhere undercover, but it's just so messy. So, but you know, just pushing through is the only thing you can do to get to the other side. Once it's painted, once this is painted, then it's really just a matter of start reassembling. There'll be some parts, some nuts and bolts and stuff that I need to clean and paint, but this is probably the largest single thing that I'm going to paint on this whole truck. And now that all the fabrication work is done, from this point it's really just a matter of putting all the parts together that I already have and buttoning up the engine and mounting that back in there. My plan is to have this thing on wheels and tires and an engine in it, and just sit back and have a cold one and look at it. Then I can start tackling the body, you know, cutting down the bed, making my repairs. I've got a cab corner and some rocker panels to repair. Whatever else I do to that, but that'll be, you know, sort of the home stretch. Less pressure, really. All right, time to go home.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.